Well, you have to get it from far away, really.
Old pharmacy. The pharmacy was there in the 18th and 19th century, so that's a much later thing. The house itself is probably built around the year 1200. Now, that will be moving, then we will over to the family better in that area. Yeah. Out of the street, these storage houses were all built more or less in the same way. At the bottom, you had a cellar going down, you had big vaults and so on, and arches down in the cellar. Also, the first floor is the same. You have the arches there, stone pillars and so on, keeping the floors up. Higher up, there were wooden beams just to keep the floors at the right level. And you can also see the boom at the top. There you could put up the ropes and so on and get the goods higher up into the house. And of course, the heavy goods were stored at the bottom. The lighter the goods were, the higher up in the house they came. The people who had those houses here, they were tradesmen. And they stored their goods in this house. They sold them also here. They didn't live in the front part of the house. They lived in the back. So it's more or less like today. I mean, if you had a store and you want to sell something, you don't live in the shop, you live behind the shop. And that's how it was this time as well. This was the front, this was the area where you really wanted to put things out to show, and this was the sales place you lived behind. But what is fantastic with these houses is that all of these houses, many of these houses still, the other houses here, they still have the cellar at the basement, the same way. They have the arches and so on still down there. But the top part of the house is now done into another way, modern way. But what is fantastic with it is that under each and every of those houses, there is a latrine chamber. I mean, the toilet at this time was just a hole in the floor and it went down to the bottom. And down there was a chamber where all these things just went down. But you have to clean that and get the things out after a while because it gets filled up. No, you didn't need to. Because Visby is built, as I said, in 3 levels. And above the top level there is a rock. And out of the rock there is a lot of water flowing the whole time. And before they built the city, they made wooden pipes going from the rock down through the city underneath each and every of these houses. And then they continued, and in the end they flushed it out into the harbor. So that was also a reason why the harbor in the end got shallower. Yeah. But they won something with it because they had a well. In each and every house they had a well, a freshwater well as well. So they could have that because the latrines and garbage was closed up and washed out. 3-4 meters just beside that they had a freshwater well, and they didn't pollute the water. And at the same time, all the water which was flushing down through the city went out into the sea. And the fantastic thing is that you must have planned that. Somebody must have sat down and planned that before they built the first of these houses. Because you can't put the wooden pipes and the latrine chambers down underneath the house when the house is standing. So Visby must be in modern time. Okay, the Romans also planned their cities quite well, but then we're talking roughly 2,000 years ago, and they had a totally different way of looking at things. But in, let's say, some modern way, Visby must be one of the first planned cities ever. In the 1930s and 40s, when they started to dig here in the ground to put down wires and sewage system and so on, modern ones, they found these wooden pipes going, and they said, this old garbage, just away with them, throw them away, broke them and so on. What happened? Well, now the water that comes from the top of the city is still flushing down through the city, but it doesn't have any way to go. So it goes nowhere into the basements and the cellars of the houses. And they have problems with that now. So nowadays, when they are making something here in the streets and they find those old wooden pipes, they try to repair them so that the water can continue to flush down and go out into the sea. Yeah? No? These crosses here that come out of the house are there to protect the house from falling out. So they have to have iron bars going through the whole house up to the other end, and then they're put together so that it can't move.
So that's the end of this, tied in?
Yeah.
Okay, one goes across the other.
Exactly. Both of
Okay.
us.
Okay, thank you.
But that wood has to rot it out.
Well, you know, it's oak, and as it was always wet, it doesn't rot.